Good morning, guys. Good early morning. It's Megan here from CRAM Christian Resources and the creator and the author of the Christian Resource and Academic Manual Workbook Series. Um, my workbook series, as many of you may know, is geared toward young kids, kindergartners, preschoolers, pre-Kers. But I've done a couple webinars where I talk directly to the parents and the homeschool teachers about just some of the content in the workbooks to give them guidance, to give them an understanding of what it is I'm trying to convey and how they can use that and apply it with their children and make it understandable and digestible to their kids. But every now and then, you wrestle with certain things. And actually, something I've been wrestling with for a while now is actually a subject matter I cover in our life science workbook. There we go. The life science workbook. This is such a great resource tool because we approach life science from a Christian perspective in here about why God created us, how God created us, the fullness of the human being that God expects from us here on earth. And it's just such a great resource for your little one. But one of the subjects I cover in here is the dominion mandate. And now I kind of think that that's something probably only theologians and grad school professors refer to this as. But the dominion mandate essentially is Genesis chapter 1, verse 28. And I've been wrestling with it, not necessarily because it's above my head or too deep or just not clear. I think it's very clear. The verse reads in Genesis 1:28, "Be fruitful and increase in number." Some versions may say, "Be fruitful and multiply." And that's pretty straightforward. I think we could agree. But I think the reason I wrestle with it is because these are the first words that God utters to mankind. These are the first words that God utters to Adam and Eve. And I've questioned why. Why is this? I mean, this is kind of like God's first impression, right? His elevator pitch. It's not really something you can do over, So these are the words. I mean, there's more to it. Be fruitful and increase in number, fill the earth and subdue it. But I just want to kind of look at the first 6 words and just get an understanding. And, sometimes the more you read, the more you study, the closer to God that you grow, the more sermons you hear. Sometimes you begin to wrestle with things even deeper, than what you did before. But you don't always have that person you can just call up and say, "Hey, I've been reading this. I don't get it. What are your thoughts? What is God really saying? What does he want to get across?" Because this is the first thing he says to mankind. And so this past weekend, lo and behold, some confirmation here, my pastor preaches a sermon directly from that verse, directly from Genesis 1:28. And I said, "Okay, God, all right, I'm listening. And then I listened to his sermon again just a little bit ago, just to make sure, was there something I missed? Was there something I didn't get? But in that verse, I think there's a lot there. There's a lot there because it sort of sets the stage of what God expects from us. God doesn't expect us to be him. He doesn't, because we can't. We can't be him because he created us. Which I also find fascinating, that God created us. We are human beings, are the only living, moving, breathing mechanism that God actually created. If you read up until then, up until Genesis 1:28, everything was let there be this, let there be that, and it was just boom, there it is. But it's like God took more time. There was serious intention and plan with human beings. We were created from dust. We were created from something. God breathed his own life into us in order to create us. Like, wow. Everything up until then was not made that way. It was just sort of there. So God's instruction obviously is very important now. Okay, I've created you exactly how I want you to look, how tall I want you to be, how short I want you to be, your skin tone, your complexion, the way you sound. I've now created you. Now here are your instructions for life. Be fruitful and increase in number. Okay. Be fruitful. So I had to first stop there. What does that mean to be fruitful? And I came across a couple definitions. And the one, outside of pertaining to actual fruit, was abundantly productive. To be abundantly productive. That's heavy. I mean, some of us go days where, you don't feel like you produced a thing. But to be abundantly productive, in other words, that is what you were created to just be. In other words, 24/7, we are to be abundantly productive. So then you have to break down the word productive. Productive is yielding product, yielding benefits, yielding positive results. And it's like, okay, be fruitful, abundantly productive. What does it mean to be productive? Yielding something positive. In other words, everything we do, everything we say, is to somehow positively impact our own lives, the lives of those immediately in our circle, the lives of our extended family and friends and co-workers, the lives of society as a whole, the lives and the very movement of this earth, the world. Our positive impact, our positive influence on society and the world as a whole. That is what we were created to do. When people say, I really don't know what God put me here to do. I don't know, because you can be good at things. You can enjoy doing things. And the world will train you to think that's what you're supposed to do, because that's how you're going to make the most money. That's what's going to bring you the most success. And we can make the list. But when it really comes down to what God put me here to do, see, there are things we're good at, but does not necessarily translate into that is why God put me here. And it's like, God, what hit me over the head with a brick, because I kind of I need it that way. Some people are very deep, and they can hear God's voice in watching a leaf blow, but I need something a bit more concrete. And it's like, God, what are you saying? Be fruitful and increase in number. So now I got, okay, be fruitful. That means everything I do, everything I produce has to be positive, has to somehow positively impact people's lives. Doesn't mean you cannot make money at it. Let's make that clear. You can certainly make money at it. It doesn't mean you shouldn't make money at it. Why not? But the sole purpose of doing something, am I producing great benefits in either my life, really it should be other people, the impact you're having on this world, on society, on those immediately around you. Be fruitful and increase in number. And I learned a long time ago from a pastor, that word "and" is so critical. is so critical. That and could have been a semicolon, or it could have been a comma, or it could have been another sentence. But that word and works in conjunction, which means you can't have the first part without having the second part. You can't have the second part without having the first part. Be fruitful and increase in number. They go hand in hand. They go together. So be fruitful and increase in number. Okay. Then everything I'm producing, because here's the thing, you can't increase something that you have not first produced. That's actually impossible. You cannot increase something, you can't do it, that you have not first created or produced. What is my social impact? How am I positively affecting everyone around me? And the way God states it, at least the way I understand it, and definitely give me comments if I'm so far off the board, but the way I look at it as that is supposed to be my life 24/7. How am I positively affecting people's lives? What impact am I leaving on society as a whole? Or am I just walking around existing, being one of those people saying, I'm just living for the day. Oh my goodness, those people I run in the complete opposite direction from. Because that is not why God put us here. He put us here to have a positive and fruitful. Fruitful means it's just ever producing. And that's amazing to actually think about. Ever producing positive, ever producing benefits, ever producing the fruit of the Spirit. Kindness, joy, love, gentleness, that we're constantly producing these things in everything it is that we do. We have to work. Is your work producing these things, producing the fruit that God talks about in Galatians? Are we producing those things? An increase in number. A lot of people have taken that to mean physically, just, go have babies or just go produce a bunch of people. No, it's, am I having such an impact that I'm rubbing off on the next person, rubbing off on the person that I have influence over? And your influence stretches far greater than your children or just the people in your household. Am I able to help produce this fruit in others? And so then it really makes you step back and look at your life. It makes you look at your options differently. It really makes you look at not just the choices you make, but how you go about making those choices. How do I come at certain issues mentally, verbally? What am I constantly speaking? One thing, I don't know about you, but one thing I notice is that a lot of times whenever you hear someone says, she makes me sick, or he makes me sick, stop saying that. You ever wonder why you are literally always sick? Or something is always wrong? I've noticed that in certain people that say, I've noticed that. I don't know about you, but I've noticed that people that have always made it a habit, say, she makes me sick, they are literally always sick. Something is always wrong with them. Something's always hurting on them. Something on their body they can't explain. Some feeling on the inside they can't explain. Something is always wrong with them. They're always at the doctor's office. Stop saying that. Our words have power. We can go all day with our words have power, but when you don't necessarily have someone right there that you can call and talk about these things with, I said, well, the best way I can get it out, I can either sit here and talk to myself, or I can just put it out there and see what kind of feedback comes back. Other people's thoughts about it. Because I take God's words when God is speaking very seriously. God is not speaking, for nothing. Everything God speaks has power, has movement, has energy. So when I look at the first words that God spoke to mankind, that he spoke to us, I want to break that thing down. because this essentially is what covers my life. It's what's supposed to guide my life. And I'm just now coming into this understanding now. I mean, you look at our children, and why aren't we teaching them these things this early? Whatever it looks like for them, they'll have to grow into and figure out. But this son, this daughter, is your purpose. This is what your life is supposed to be producing, however you do that. Whatever career choice you go into, is this the foundation of it? That I am literally producing the fruit of the Spirit in others, in those that I have influence over, in those I come into contact with? Am I producing this good fruit? Because if I believe James, I think it's James 1 in there, where every good and perfect gift comes from above. Okay, well, that's where I came from. Remember, God created us. He created us. He didn't, he fashioned us. So now that goodness, that sort of ever evolving perfection, because none of us will ever be perfect. But if that's what I am, because my Heavenly Father created me, how am I producing that in my life every single day? I think we get so caught up in what the world says we're supposed to do, and what your homies say you're supposed to do, and what social media says you're supposed to do, that it's like, God, wait a minute. I've actually read it all along, and just sort of skipped over it. But that's it. When we look for our purpose in life, when we look for, God, why am I really here? I understand the talents and the gifts that you've given me. But how am I supposed to use them? Because I think a lot of times we think of our talents and our gifts, how can I make money? I am definitely guilty of that. How can I make money off of this? How can I monetize this? And I won't say that there's anything wrong with that. You got to earn a living. You have to earn a living. And why not earn it doing something that God has gifted you in? A gift that only can come from above. Why not? I don't see any problem with that. The problem is that's where we stop. And we don't actually look at what is it putting out into the world. I mean, if you have a gift for selling, for sales, you can sell motivation. You can sell encouragement. You can sell inspiration and encouraging youth and encouraging people that have been in abusive relationships, people that have gone through just tragic things in their life. You can sell that, or you can sell drugs. I mean, both of them involve probably your gift. But which one am I actually producing the fruit of the Spirit on? How am I being fruitful? Remember, fruitful is abundance in productivity, being abundantly productive. And productive is yielding benefits, yielding positivity, yielding results, yielding increase, going up and up and up. Well, that's not what drugs do. So, okay, I got to make a choice here. But this is just something I've been wrestling with, and it really helps to sort of talk it through and talk it out. But this is also a subject area that I include, as I said, in the life science book. We give a very basic, obviously, because this is for kindergartners and your preschoolers. So we give a very basic, at its most basic understanding of what the Dominion Mandate is. And it really, in here, it talks about giving kids an idea of how we're to respect the earth and respect everything that God put here for us. And to actually own that God created you, and He created you for greatness. So that's how we that's how we explain it and make it digestible to your little one in here. But I wanted to take it a little deeper. So that's what this does. So if you have thoughts, agree, disagree, you can take it further beyond than I can. Would love to hear it. All right, and have a great hump day.